there are things you can do to abide as the self, you see. It's a funny thing, because eventually everything you do actually takes you away from the self. But initially, there are lots of things you can do to help you abide as the self. You know, and it depends on your habits and predispositions. It depends on your vasanas. It depends on your conditioning. What's going to work for you. So, for example, some people, by making a vow that they're going to meditate and be still for 10 minutes every day, or an hour every day, whatever it is, that can be helpful for some people, right? And for other people, they don't, that's less helpful, depending on what your personality is like. Having a generally calm life, as much as possible, right? I mean, my life's all over the place sometimes. But as much as you can, create space and time and calm. Because if you don't have that, it's very difficult for something new to come in. If you're always doing something, you're always busy, you're always on the go, it's very difficult for anything new to come in. Devotion, love God, love Ramana, love your neighbor, love people. It sounds facile, it sounds too simple, but being kind to others, being loving to others in your daily interactions, maybe you're talking to your boss at work. As you're talking to your boss at work, just remember love. Yeah, he or she might be being a bit of an asshole to you, just remember love. What does it do? It makes you into that sort of bigger, better person. And that gives you peace, you see. Everything, you walk down the street, love. You don't have to physically do anything, especially in the coronavirus situation. You're not going to go out and hug people and stuff. But there's a sense of love. Very, very simple, very important, very powerful. Gratitude. These things bring us into happiness, peace, positivity, and calm. They remove negativity from our lives. And this is the self. You see, the happier you are, the less you need. The less you need, the less egoic you are. The less egoic you are, the less you care about the body-mind. So your whole life becomes spiritual practice from love. You love God, love Ramana, pray to God, pray to Ramana. It's all aspects of your true self, of course. But while you consider yourself limited, we can pray to a God external to us, knowing that the teaching says that this is us, that God we're praying to is our true self. Later, this will bring you naturally in your own way to everything you need. Praying to God, loving God, brings you everything you need. Because God will say, okay, God, if you need to read a book that is highly philosophical and goes through all the technical teachings, you pray to God. You don't have to pray for the book, but if that's what you need, then God will give you that book. That book will appear in your life. If you need a teacher, that teacher will appear in your life. Why? Because you are approaching life with an open heart, with love, with peace. And it is that, I'm afraid, some of you won't like this, it's that law of attraction. And it's the opposite of the scientific law of attraction, It's in the spiritual law of attraction, like attracts like. In physics, the positive and negative attract each other. And the spiritual like attracts like. So when we are open to love and positivity, we attract that. We're signifying to the universe that we're ready to evolve onto the next level. You see, when our motive is pure, meaning when we're seeking truth and love and light, then the universe or God or ourself responds to that. Dance, sing, rejoice, be happy. These are wonderful things, very human things, very simple things. The simpler the teaching, often the more effective it is. Highly complex teachings with all these different things on them, maybe that's a part of your journey too, or what part of one's journey too. But bring love into your everyday life. Love, gratitude. Works wonders, works wonders. Then when it's time to sit and meditate, it's so much easier, because when you're meditating on silence, silence and love and happiness are one. It's not a empty happiness, hollow happiness. I mean, it's not an empty silence, hollow silence. It's a full silence. That fullness is happiness and love, bliss, peace. And that's what we crave in. That's when we want, if you've ever craved to sleep and you want that peace of deep sleep. I sometimes say, and here's a nice clue, if you haven't heard me say this before. I often say, many of us have felt times in our life where we're suffering intensely, and we want to fall asleep and never wake up again because we're suffering so much. That is, you're craving the peace of deep sleep. Many of us would have had thoughts of wanting our life to end at some point, whether that's a serious thought or a not serious thought. Many of us, if we've suffered enough, we would have had those sorts of thoughts. I don't want this life to carry on. I wish I didn't have to be here anymore. I wish I could just die. You see? We're craving. We don't want to die. We don't want to die. We want suffering to end. We want peace. That's what we want. That which we crave is ourself. That's the true nature. So abiding as a self means to feel that now. So another practical thing you can do is when you're on these satsangs, whenever you remember me or the spiritual teachings, whenever you remember, just allow yourself to pretend you're in deep sleep, deeper sleep, and nothing matters anymore. And stay awake. If you fall asleep, no problem, but stay awake. Because if you can stay awake, that's the key. Because then you're experiencing the self in the waking state. This is actually the samadhi that Ben was talking about when he quoted from Guru Vajrakova, I think. Because the mind is still functioning, but you're not, the ego is not functioning. The desire for pleasure, the fear of negative things happening is no longer there because you're just abiding with the self. When you're in the state of deep sleep, there's no appearance of body, mind, or world. And you feel happy. You've not got a single concern in the world, and you're totally at peace. We just bring that into the waking state. But if you're loving throughout the day, and then maybe you don't have faith in God, it doesn't matter. Just say, I don't have faith in God, but show me something, God, help me, God. You can call out to God, even if you don't believe. Because all is one, it doesn't matter. If your intention is pure, pour your heart and soul out to God. Even if you don't believe, it doesn't matter. So God, this is what I want. I'm desperate. I'm yearning for this. I'm yearning for this. This is what I'm yearning for. I'm yearning for wholeness. Help me, help me. Talk, express yourself. Find your authentic voice as a seeker. What do you want? You'll discover. You'll discover. The teachings will come to you. Insights will come to you. And then you're going to go beyond teachings and insights, because ultimately teachings and insights are more illusion. They're all for the ego. This teaching wants to take you beyond that kind of what ultimately is petty stuff.